The thing you trust most is unreliable. Most people believe their memory is a recording device, a private archive, a mental video library where moments from the past are stored exactly as they happened. When the mind wants to remember something, it believes it simply presses play. But modern neuroscience says something very different. Memory is not playback. Memory is reconstruction. Every time the mind recalls an event, it does not retrieve the past. It rebuilds the scene from fragments, pieces of sound, pieces of image, pieces of feeling. Then the mind fills in the missing parts using its current beliefs, emotions, and identity. In other words, every time the past is remembered, it is rewritten. And here is the strange twist. The memories recalled the most are usually the ones furthest from what actually happened. Because each recall edits the story again. The past becomes less like history and more like a manuscript that keeps being revised. Now pause for a moment and consider the implication. If memory is reconstructed each time it appears, then the past never actually shows up. What appears is a present thought about a past idea. And that is exactly what A Course in Miracles has been quietly saying all along. When the mind thinks about the past, it is thinking about nothing at all. Not nothing emotionally, but nothing presently real. The past is gone. Only a thought about it remains. And that thought always appears now. So what people call memory is actually interpretation happening in the present moment. But something else happens inside this reconstruction process. The mind begins building identity from these edited stories. I am the one who was betrayed. I am the one who had to fight for everything. I am the one who succeeded. I am the one who was abandoned. Once the identity is chosen, the mind begins gathering evidence to support it. It becomes a prosecuting attorney defending the story of the self. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C. Every remembered event becomes proof that the identity is correct. If the identity is the betrayed one, the mind finds every moment that resembles betrayal. If the identity is the successful one, the mind stacks symbols of success like trophies, houses, cars, shoes that cost $1,000. But here is where the story becomes interesting. Imagine someone proudly explaining that their shoes cost $1,000. The price tag carries meaning, status, taste, achievement. But downstairs in the same house, one of those shoes is being used to prop open a door while junk is carried out. The $1,000 symbol of identity becomes a doorstop in the middle of a clean-out. The shoe did not change. The story attached to it did. Meaning was never in the object. Meaning was assigned by the mind. And identity works exactly the same way. The mind assigns meaning to memories to support the story it wants to believe about itself. Now here is the deeper puzzle. If memory can be reconstructed, why does the mind keep reconstructing painful stories? Why replay betrayal instead of kindness? Why replay humiliation instead of joy? Why rebuild scenes of suffering again and again? A Course in Miracles gives a startling answer. You do not know the difference between what hurts and what heals. The mind believes grievances protect the identity it has built. Grievances justify the story. They explain why the self is the way it is. They keep the past emotionally alive. Without grievances, the identity begins to loosen, and the ego does not want that. So the mind keeps reconstructing the same painful interpretations. Not because the past is alive, because the story is still being defended. Notice how often people introduce themselves through their wounds, what they survived, what they endured, what someone did to them years ago. The grievance becomes a badge of authenticity. But what is actually happening is far simpler. The mind is choosing a meaning now and using the past to justify it. And because the meaning is chosen now, it can also be changed now. This is what the Course calls forgiveness. Forgiveness does not erase events. It dissolves the interpretation that turned them into chains. When the meaning changes, the emotional charge disappears. And when the charge disappears, the past loses its power. Suddenly, the mind realizes something astonishing. The past was never controlling the present. A present thought about the past was. And present thoughts can always be seen differently. Which brings us back to the quiet bomb hidden in this entire conversation. The thing used to construct identity is memory. But memory itself is unstable. It is edited every time it appears. It is filtered through belief. It is shaped by the identity it helps defend. So the foundation most people use to define who they are turns out to be unreliable. And that realization opens a door most people never consider. If the story of the past is being written now, then the present mind is not trapped inside the story. The present mind is the author holding the pen.